Looks like a Chinese Jiangwei-class cruiser with a North Korean destroyer escort. Events in the Yellow Sea took a turn for the worse today when North Korean and Chinese forces blockaded and boarded a Japanese cargo ship. The North Korean government released no official statement, and their ambassador remained out of contact. While at the UN, Chinese Ambassador Long Dan urged the U.S. and her longtime Japanese allies to remain calm, calling the blockades a legitimate response to what the rest of Asia views as a possible remilitarization of Japan. This blockade is an act of war. The NSC is working on a formal response, and they've ordered the USS Walsh to close at flank speed. The Walsh is the most advanced spy ship in history. My best man will be on board. What do you know? Chinese and North Korean ships working together again.
It's what we expected.
That's a 056 prototype, Chinese.
Exactly.
How are your sea legs?
I haven't lost them.
Good. Because the 056 prototype isn't the only new fish in the pond. Admiral Toshiro Otomo, head of Japan's newly formed Information Self-Defense Force, had this to say.
This is another distressing attempt by China and North Korea to further depress our faltering economy. The ISDF and Japan appeal to our allies for the military support promised us under the post-war constitution of 1946.
The fact remains that in the eyes of many in Asia, the ISDF itself is a violation of the post-war constitution, prohibiting Japan from maintaining a military force capable of striking beyond its borders. In Asia, the memories of Imperial Japan are still fresh.
Recollection of that, Senator.
That's right. It has been a while.
Nice condo you got here.
Well, thanks. I got a space set up for you in the forecastle. You can make yourself your home, and heck, no one will even know you're here.
The body of kidnapped American computer engineer Bruce Morgenholt was discovered in a village in Peru this morning. Implicated in the kidnapping and failed ransom attempt is Hugo Lacerda, alleged leader of the People's Voice, a newly formed guerrilla organization. Here we see the USS Clarence E. Walsh en route to the Yellow Sea for her first assignment amid rising tensions in the region. Dubbed the flagship of a 21st century fleet by Defense Secretary Mason, who reaffirmed America's commitment to our Japanese allies.
It is our hope that the presence of the Walsh, now the world's premier electronic and information warfare platform, will help diffuse the tensions in the region. With still no word from the North Korean government, China's Long Dan again urged all sides to come to the bargain. We have now a late response by Admiral Toshiro Otomo of the Japanese ISDF.
Despite the ambassador's efforts,
Nothing has changed. The Japanese people must continue to endure harassment and humiliation. We eagerly anticipate the arrival of the...
Hey, I hear you're leaving us. Heading back for Panama?
Hate to eat and run, sir. We have a few loose ends to tie off before we can rejoin you.
Well, you can make it back for the 4th of July. I'll show you one heck of a good time, boy.
Wouldn't miss it for the world. So Zerkesi and Morgenholt are the only two people who ever saw those algorithms.
And Morgenholt is dead. And Zerkesi is connected to a mystery guest we know nothing about.
Dvorak.
Morgenholt and Zerkesi are geeks, not terrorists. Maybe this Dvorak is some kind of puppeteer.
No hitter, bottom of the 8th. 2-0, New York in the 8th. Akira Watanabe is on the mound. He's pure concentration, pure focus.
This is no coincidence. You're on your way to the Big Apple.
Now coming to you from our New York City broadcast center, we have Patrick Dunn of Watershed Electric on the line. Mr. Dunn, what do we know at this moment?
All we know so far is that this was not an accident.
If it's not an accident, then it must be intentional. Both us and the Japanese have been hit by this thing. I think it's pretty obvious who's responsible.
Here's a Tomo.
It appears we have something in common, Admiral.
Our analysis of the information footprint shows that the pressures which collapsed our power grids appear in many ways similar to those that collapsed our markets. I am certain the Koreans and the Chinese are involved.
Let's not jump the gun here, Admiral. We've had our microscope on a man named Zerkesi. He had access to weaponized IW algos following that business in Georgia. He was also a major DOE consultant after the blackouts here in 2003.
Yes, we are aware of this connection. Has Zerkesi been found?
Not yet, but it won't take long. I'll keep you posted.
As happy as we are to be back online here in New York, our thoughts turn to our loved ones who are defending us on this beautiful 4th of July. We go now live to the Yellow Sea, where sailors aboard the USS Clarence E. Walsh are celebrating. We have Seaman Anthony Palmiera from Brooklyn, New York. Tell us, Seaman Palmiera, how you'll be celebrating Independence Day.
Well, the captain's gonna have a big barbecue on deck. And tonight we'll have our own fireworks.
Talk to me! Captain, all of our command systems crashed. Nothing's responding.
Seaman Palmiera, can you tell us what's happening there?
Sit tight, Sam. I'll call you back.
It's the Koreans, Mr. President. I recommend that we declare war immediately.
If it was Korea, there would be 200,000 men coming over the DMZ right now.
Maybe it was an accident. Maybe an exercise. A test launch gone wrong.
That's impossible. The Koreans can't even detect the Walsh. Never mind track it on radar and sink it with a 30-year-old Chinese anti-ship missile.
I have reason to believe the ship was crippled with an information warfare attack.
Not a chance. The Walsh's systems are...
Unhackable? The Walsh's EW suite is built on kernels first identified by two of the world's leading computational theorists. One of them was found dead in Peru last week. I'm about to pick up the other one.
Calling the possible alleged leaders released no of their long-gone lives. The North, while after the U.S. call. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure what we've just witnessed here, but I'm afraid something terrible has just occurred.
Amazing what they show on TV these days, huh, Sam? World's gone crazy.
I guess you're in the right business then, Doug.
What are you doing here?
I'm looking for a guy named Milan Nedich. Heard he works for you.
Lots of people work for me. Haven't you heard? First security company to make the Fortune 500. If you're looking for a job,
I'm not.
Is that so? You keep doing what you're doing, you'll just end up another unknown soldier.
I'm not in it for the fame. Your buddy Nettich is dirty. Cut him loose.
Unlike other employers, I don't cut people loose. If you got evidence against one of my guys, I'll help you bring him in. But I'm not gonna send a man up the river because you say so.
Fair enough. Just stay out of my way.
Thanks for the advice. In case you change your mind.
Today, Ambassador Long Dan announced Chinese support for the North Korean claim that they did not intentionally launch the missile that sank the Walsh.
We are monitoring these developments while continuing to seek a peaceful resolution. Make no mistake, the Chinese People's Republic will employ all means at our disposal to protect our interests in the Asian subcontinent.
Our intelligence estimates that the current number of Korean troops massed at the border runs as high as 200,000 men. Monty?
Montgomery Lewis, The Times. Do we know what the possible North Korean strategy will be if diplomatic efforts fail?
We've known for decades that the NKA would move to capture Seoul as quickly as possible, regardless of the cost. That is how our defenses are structured. But with the capital less than 40 miles from the border, and well within artillery range of the big guns, it is clear that war would be catastrophic in terms of damage done and lives lost.
Initial estimates place the combined casualty count for the first 24 hours at, oh my God, 6,000? Is this a typo?
90% or more of those are enemy casualties. Estimates put our losses at less than 1,000 men.
Less than 1,000? You say that like it's a good thing.
Sir, it's paranoia. Our saber rattling has their leadership in a panic. It's a preemptive strike. Our own intelligence indicates that they didn't launch that missile intentionally. And until we can prove it, Seoul is on the block.
What are our military options for holding the city?
No reasonable strategic assessment has ever claimed it was possible without nuclear capability. And if that's the way it has to be...
The attack came from Japan. They're our allies.
Mr. President, these attacks represent the most sophisticated application of information warfare ever imagined. The missile launch came through Japan, yes, but it seems likely it was triggered by elements of a private security operation, Displace International.
Displace? That's Doug Shetland's outfit. We have contracts with them.
Who's Shetland?
Former Marine recon, among the very best. He was one of my top candidates for 3rd Echelon a few years ago. No love lost for the military or the United States. Rumor is that we hung him out to dry for political reasons over an incident that wasn't his fault. We can only speculate as to what his agenda is.
Well, how do we defuse the situation until we know?
Maybe the Chinese can help.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have to end like this, Sam.
No, but it does have to end.
On that we agree. We've been fighting their dirty little wars our entire lives, and where do we end up? Staring at each other down the barrels of our guns. Nothing has changed, Fisher. And it won't change by degrees. We have to tear it down and start over. It's the only way.
Your own little chaos theory, throw the world into war and hope that what comes out the other side is better.
It will be better. Because this war will change things, Sam. Every other war has been about keeping things the same, but the status quo doesn't work anymore. America's sick, Sam. She's dying. The politicians, the bureaucrats, the whispered backroom deals, it's all life support for a sick old lady who was dead a long time ago.
The only backroom deals that I've seen lately were made by you. You're a murderer and a war criminal.
Those are the only names the state has for the revolutionaries, Sam. You only become a hero after the war is over. You know the truth. The world is built from the bottom up, not the other way around. Honor, courage, fidelity. We don't inherit these things from the world, Sam. We build the world from them. I know you. You believe in these things more than any government. And I know that because of it, you wouldn't shoot an old friend.
You're right, Doug. I wouldn't shoot an old friend.
Events today jeopardized diplomatic efforts when North Korean armor encountered a so-called self-healing minefield while attempting to withdraw from the area.
North Korean forces were adequately cautioned that self-healing minefields along the DMZ should not be considered cleared obstacles. We're back at the brink of war, and now we find out it is the Japanese?
The Japanese are allies.
I don't care if they're the Christmas elves. They sank the Walsh.
We don't know that their government was involved.
We know Admiral Otomo was involved, and we know where the gentleman is. We have to go in now, immediately.
The fact is, we don't know how far the conspiracy goes. If Otomo's actions are sanctioned by the Japanese government, then the only solution is military. But if he's acting alone...
Your man again?
He's already in position.
Send him in.
Admiral Otomo, former head of the Japanese Information Self-Defense Force, made a surprise confession today on the witness stand at the Hague War Crimes trial. Otomo openly admitted conspiring to instigate war between the Koreas and the United States, claiming that In other news, China's ambassador to the United States, Long Dan, received the Nobel Peace Prize today for his efforts in diffusing the Korean conflict. President Bowers today addressed the nation following the crisis that brought us to the brink of war.
Finally, I want to take a moment to thank those unsung heroes in the intelligence community who may very well have saved our nation and the world from certain disasters.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The boss seems happy. How about that raise?
They're cutting us back. You'll have to settle for a vacation.
Yeah, right.